let's move into the main topic. Let's get offensive, as in pick offensive players. And, we were talking before the show. I think we had a great game plan to do this, and the fact that we're going to start with the most boring position of all, and that would be quarterbacks. I think we all know exactly which way the cookie is going to crumble when it comes to who the starting quarterback is. And if anybody has any objection, can't we all just basically anoint Casey Thompson as the starter come that first game in Dublin?
I
second that notion.
I mean, absolutely. I do think the competition's still open, but Casey Thompson's most likely going to win. It would take a huge upset for him to lose that spot.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think you look back at the last 4 years when you really didn't have somebody that pushed Adrian. I think there might be a kid in camp that is going to push Casey, which is only going to make him better. And I think Purdy's going to give him all he wants in fall camp, because I thought he looked pretty efficient the little limited amount of time he was able to play in the spring game. So once he's healthy, I think he's going to give. But I think Casey gets the ball first. But maybe, you never know. I mean, we might play well enough in those first 3 or 4 games that you could see Chuba get some meaningful snaps too in the second and third quarter. So yeah, quarterback 1, we all saying Casey Thompson. Quarterback 2, who do you think? Is it Purdy, or do you think anybody here thinks Smothers is gonna jump up there, or maybe even Harburg?
I have Purdy.
I've got Purdy. I mean, the only way that Smothers finds himself in the number 2 slot is if he just suddenly gains like a high caliber and accurate arm, because that's the only thing that's holding him back. Chuba clearly has arm talent, whereas Smothers has up to this point not been able to prove any sort of arm talent. But I think that Harburg is probably right there fighting for that number 3 spot. I would say that Harburg's probably giving Smothers a run for his money at this point.
Yeah, Logan Smothers, he's been in the program for a couple of years now, and he's an easy guy to root for. But after what you saw out of him last year, and then headed into the spring, nobody saw practice, but when it came down to the spring game, which everybody saw, he did not set the world on fire in that spring game whatsoever. And so just going off of that, I mean, he is in a distant 3. I mean, I don't think he's in the conversation for a backup at this point.
Anybody else got any thoughts on quarterback? Go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry.
No, first of all, I see it a little bit different than you. I'm old enough to remember the first half of that Iowa game, and I remember people going around saying, "Man, should Logan Smothers have been the starter all year?" Like, I mean, right. That take was out there based on half of the action you saw of him. I mean, people were really impressed with him. And for Chuba Purdy to come in, and again, he definitely looked better in the spring game. And I do have Chuba Purdy slightly edging out Logan Smothers, but I mean, that's a 2A, 2B for me. That is a really tight race for me. Henry Harburg is maybe 5th string. Like, I don't see him anywhere in the conversation. I think that's evident by the fact that during the spring game, they didn't even give him a green jersey. There was zero concern. They were running quarterback dives with him. They had zero concern what happened to Henry Harburg. I don't think they see him in the conversation. I do have Purdy, so I mean, I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just think that's a lot tighter race than you guys make it out to be.
I don't think it's a tight race, and quite frankly, I think there's a good possibility Henrik Harburg could pass Logan Smothers up for the 3rd string. Yeah, I don't think Logan Smothers fits this offense. I just really don't.
Yeah, I mean, he had, I guess, from like a recruiting standpoint, back when he was being recruited, there was a potential to have a lot stronger of an arm if it could be developed, and we just haven't really seen it. Because, I mean, even in that first half of the Iowa game, it's not like we were watching him throw bombs. I mean, it was all mostly run scheme and little like slant routes that were pretty much a given.
If this staff wanted to keep running the ball with the quarterback, they'd have kept Adrian Martinez around for another season.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So I think we're consensus. It's Thompson to start. Purdy. You know what? To be honest with you guys, I struggled. I thought maybe Purdy would give him just enough of a go in fall camp that maybe he'd have a shot at starting, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, unanimous. It's Thompson with Purdy backing him up.